During my wedding toast, my sister announced her pregnancy. I immediately exposed her affair to her husband right after her speech. Now, she's getting divorced. I'm a 30-year-old man, recently married to the woman I've loved for years. We planned a simple, yet heartfelt wedding with close family and friends. It was an outdoor ceremony followed by a cozy indoor reception. My sister, 2 years younger than me, has always loved grand gestures and dramatic attention. She hadn't shown much interest in helping with the wedding preparations, but I thought it was just her usual aloofness. I never suspected she would turn my wedding into her personal spotlight. The ceremony went smoothly. My bride and I exchanged vows under a bright, sunny sky, and there were tears of joy from both sides. Then, we moved indoors for the reception, where we toasted and enjoyed dinner in a warm, intimate atmosphere. My sister lingered at her table, chatting idly, occasionally glancing at me or my new wife. I figured it was just her usual restlessness. The plan was for a few toasts from family and friends. My best friend gave a heartfelt speech, and my father shared some funny childhood anecdotes. Everyone laughed and raised their glasses. Then, unexpectedly, my sister stood up and announced that she had something to say. We hadn't planned for my sister to speak, but I assumed she had a few kind words for me, so I nodded, letting her approach the microphone. She began with the usual wedding banner. I'm so happy for my brother, and he's found such a wonderful partner. The guests clapped politely, but then her voice quivered with excitement and she declared, I can't hold it in any longer. I have my own special announcement. I tensed, sensing that nothing good was coming. She paused dramatically, scanning the room before flashing a wide smile. I'm pregnant. A ripple of surprise swept through the crowd. My parents gasped, some people squealed, and my new wife's face mirrored my shock. The focus shifted entirely to my sister. She went on about how unplanned it was, but how ecstatic she was. I stood there, heart pounding with anger, furious that she hijacked the microphone at my wedding to announce her pregnancy. The toasts were supposed to celebrate my wife and me, not her. The commotion only grew as people rushed over to congratulate her, surrounding her table while she soaked in the applause, effectively overshadowing the reason for the day, my marriage. My wife caught my eye across the room, concern on her face. She hated confrontation, but we both understood how my sister had stolen the spotlight. As the excitement around my sister peaked, I seethed quietly. Part of me wanted to ignore the drama and preserve the mood of the wedding, but another part of me was consumed with anger at her blatant attention grab. My parents, who should have intervened, instead fawned over her, ignoring me. My father patted her back, and my mother wiped away tears as if it were her big day. Then, I remembered a dark secret I had learned just days before. A cousin had confided in me that my sister's baby might not be her husband's. She had apparently confessed to another cousin about an affair with a co-worker, and rumors suggested that she was sure the baby was his, not her unsuspecting husband's. At first, I dismissed it as idle gossip, but it came from a reliable source. I hadn't planned to act on it until now, but my sister had forced my hand by overshadowing my wedding with her pregnancy announcement. The excitement around my sister's pregnancy continued through dinner. My wife sat beside me, clutching my hand, trying to hide her disappointment. People kept coming to our table to congratulate us on our wedding, and then rushing to my sister's side to hear about her baby. I considered ignoring it and enjoying the evening, but each passing moment reminded me how overshadowed we were. My mother approached, speaking about how the family was so blessed, completely ignoring my clenched jaw. Finally, I decided I couldn't let this slide. If my sister wanted to hijack my wedding day with her big announcement, I would respond in kind. Summoning my courage, I quietly made a plan with my wife. She gave me an uncertain look, but nodded, trusting my judgment. I walked up to the podium, where my sister had just left. I tapped the microphone, and some guests turned, expecting me to either toast her pregnancy or bring the focus back to the wedding. My heart raced with adrenaline. Thank you all for sharing this special day with us. I began, forcing a smile. There's been a second big announcement. Congratulations to my sister on her pregnancy. However, I have something to say. My sister, sitting at a corner table, looked curious, perhaps expecting me to gush about how happy I was for her. I locked eyes with her. I want to share something important about that pregnancy. A hush fell over the room. Her husband stared at me, puzzled. My sister's face tightened with apprehension. I continued. Word has reached me that the father may not be who we all assume. Gasps echoed. My parents froze, confusion in their eyes. My sister stood up abruptly, her face pale. I pressed on, my voice trembling but firm. I've learned she's been seeing another man, and from what I gather, that baby might very well be his. The room fell silent, forks clattering on plates. My sister's husband looked stricken, glancing at her. She started shouting, "That's a lie," but the fear in her voice gave her away. People murmured in shock. My parents stammered, "What are you saying?" I have reliable information that my sister has been having an affair with a co-worker. I told them. The timeline matches her pregnancy. I'm forced to reveal this because she overshadowed my wedding with false pretenses, parading her pregnancy as if everything was normal. My sister's eyes burned with fury and panic. She tried to approach the microphone, but I stepped away. Her husband confronted her, betrayal on his face. He demanded she tell him the truth. My sister, cornered, stammered excuses. It's not what it seems. We were on a break, or it happened only once. She stumbled for a believable explanation. He demanded an immediate answer. Is this baby mine or not? She hesitated. That hesitation was answer enough. The mood in the room shifted from excitement to stunned silence. My sister's meltdown was epic, tears, shouting that I had ruined her life. But I saw no remorse from her for humiliating me or overshadowing my wedding. My parents and a few relatives tried to calm things down, telling me I should have handled it privately. I retorted that my sister's stunt was equally public, hijacking my special moment. She attacked my big day, so I gave her a taste of her own medicine. My sister's husband, devastated, shoved his chair aside and stormed out, ignoring her frantic attempts to stop him. She collapsed into tears, and half the guests didn't know whom to comfort, my sister or her humiliated husband. Meanwhile, I quietly returned to my bride, who squeezed my hand in determined solidarity. The rest of the reception unraveled. Some guests tried to salvage the evening with forced toasts, but the tension was too thick. My sister was a sobbing mess, my mother trying to console her, and my father scolding me for destroying the family's reputation. I calmly reminded him that my sister had deliberately chosen to ruin my wedding. If any damage was done, it began with her. My father erupted in anger, while my mother pleaded with me to mend the situation. I refused, and the wedding concluded earlier than expected. A few guests lingered, offering quiet apologies, acknowledging how outrageous the whole scenario had become. My new wife managed a polite smile, though I could see the sadness in her eyes. Our special day was overshadowed by scandal. The aftermath was swift. My sister's husband demanded a paternity test, and my sister eventually admitted to the affair. He immediately filed for divorce, though she tried to save the marriage by claiming she loved him and that it was a mistake. But the trust was broken, and the pregnancy overshadowed everything. My parents and some relatives chastised me for publicly humiliating her, arguing that family matters should remain private. I responded that she had shown me no such respect by revealing her pregnancy at my wedding, so I had every right to respond in kind. My sister's meltdown included late-night calls, cursing me for ruining her life. She insisted I could have waited and not exposed the truth in front of everyone. I told her she started it by stealing my moment, and if she wanted privacy, she shouldn't have hijacked my wedding with her announcement. Her betrayal, both to her husband and to me, was unforgivable. Meanwhile, my parents tried to console her, claiming she was vulnerable and had made a momentary mistake. I scoffed, pointing out that an affair is hardly a fleeting mistake. My father threatened me with some nonsense about how I owed it to the family to help patch things up. I told them no, they should direct their energy toward the one who caused this disaster. Ironically, my sister's soon-to-be ex-husband reached out to thank me for exposing the truth. He said, as painful as it was, I had saved him from living in ignorance. He wanted more details, but I only had second-hand information from a cousin who had discovered the affair. The soon-to-be ex-husband appreciated my directness, though we parted on awkward terms, given his heartbreak. My mother kept pressing me to apologize, saying I had publicly humiliated my sister. I refused. She had humiliated me first by overshadowing my wedding. I had simply returned the favor. My father argued that two wrongs don't make a right, but I was done with their moralizing. My sister's actions showed she thought she was untouchable, always coddled by my parents. This time, she had to face the consequences of her emotional manipulation. Words quickly spread throughout the extended family, turning my sister into a social pariah. Some relatives found it amusing that she had tried to steal the spotlight at my wedding, only to be exposed in front of everyone. Others felt sympathy for the unborn child, but almost everyone agreed that she had crossed a line. Even my parents struggled to defend her. She was pregnant with her lover's child. Her marriage was crumbling, and her husband was divorcing her. She tried to lean on my parents for support, but they were exhausted from dealing with the mess she had created. The father of the baby never stepped forward. It was clear he wanted nothing to do with the drama. As for me, I told my parents I wanted minimal contact for now. My wife and I were focused on building our new life, free from the shadow of her wedding fiasco. Though the first memory of our wedding day remained tainted by my sister's stunt, I found some peace in knowing I had reclaimed control of the situation. Ironically, the dramatic confrontation gave me a sense of closure. I had taken back my wedding day from her. My wife agreed that, although harsh, it was deserved payback for her arrogance. In the end, my sister faced a brutal divorce. Her soon-to-be ex-husband was outraged and refused any compromise. She ended up leaving their shared apartment and was forced to move back in with my parents or possibly a friend. The baby's father never took responsibility. If she seeks child support, that will be her legal battle. The last I heard, my parents were exasperated by her continued demands for financial assistance. She was living in limbo, pregnant, single, and publicly shamed. Meanwhile, my father and mother still whispered about how I could have handled things more discreetly. I maintained that she had shown me no courtesy. She staged her pregnancy reveal at my wedding, and I simply responded in kind. A month after the wedding chaos, I had a small post-wedding dinner with close friends, a peaceful and drama-free evening. People joked that nothing could top that wedding story. Indeed, it has become a family legend. My bride, seeing me laugh about it, gave me a playful nudge. At least no one will ever forget our wedding day. That was our bittersweet humor. Do I regret it? Sometimes I wonder if there was a kinder way. But then I recall her proud smirk, the delight in her eyes as she overshadowed my day. She reaped the storm she caused. Heartbreak for her husband, and she tried to humiliate me. She didn't expect me to retaliate with such directness, but life taught me not to let bullies thrive. She had an affair, lied, and stole my spotlight. I exposed her affair in front of her unsuspecting husband. Now, she's dealing with the fallout from her divorce, and I have no remorse. That's how it all ended. My sister announced her pregnancy during my wedding toast, so I exposed her lie right after her speech, prompting her husband to file for divorce. Now, she's left pregnant, unmarried, with my parents unable to save her from the consequences. It's messy, dramatic, but in a twisted way, justice was served. She learned that trying to overshadow someone's wedding with a deceitful stunt can lead to bigger revelations that shatter illusions, along with her marriage. I'm left forging my own marriage in peace, content in the knowledge that if you try to sabotage my big day, I'll do the same to you. And so ends a saga with my wife and I moving forward, unburdened by my sister's manipulative theatrics.